Greetings. Well, it's about midweek, week 5, and so I thought I would, as promised, bring you an updated video on, or a video on the user test memo, which is due Sunday. Recall that Wednesday night or tonight, your user test memo, I guess your user test design is due to your blog post for tonight. So, so I thought I would put this out there, and this may or may not help you in thinking about that as well, as far as what this document, or excuse me, what this blog post is going to kind of help you in getting towards the user test memo, which is due Sunday. So, thought we'd talk about that for a second. So, excuse me. So I'll minimize down here. So here we are in week 5 folder, and user test due tonight. The reading quiz is Friday, about which I have published a video about that. And then kind of the bigger assignment this week is the user test memo. And so let's scroll down here to user test memo, description and rubric, and I want to maybe highlight a few things for you, have you think about as you are working on this this week. All right, so I'll hit kind of the highlights, but as we've read in Anderson this week, as far as there's different types of like testing that you can do, performance tests, etc., excuse me, and things of that nature that allow us to kind of look at, and of course obviously we're talking about our WikiHow instructions here, that allow us to look at the instruction set that we've put together and then make a determination as to excuse me, what further revisions need to be made, what kind of things might not be clear, what kind of things can we, is there a step that we perhaps maybe missed, or that maybe that was misinterpreted by a couple of different users. So that's what we're going for here. So so let's look at the assignment prompt. You conduct a user test of a nearly finished draft, which is kind of where you are of your technical instructions, your WikiHow instructions. And then you want to have a corresponding 2 to 3 page user test report memo. And then obviously I'm your audience. So what you'll do is try to find 2 to 3 people. Ideally here, so if you have a novice, an intermediate, and an expert skills, you can kind of, that might be more challenging with our time constraints in the summer. So do your best at whatever range you can get. Prepare a user test. It's on preparation here, data collection artifact, which is kind of what you're kind of designing in a way for your blog post for tonight. Is it how are you going to record the thing, or are you going to hand, is it a survey, is it a questionnaire kind of a thing? Are you going to observe and have them speak out loud so you can write down different parts as they're reading through your steps? Obviously, a lot of you, the ones that you put together, a lot of your instruments, they can't actually maybe physically perform them, but they can read through them. And so in those cases, I encourage you to have them read them, and if they have questions, they should speak them out loud. You can take notes, and then maybe, or have them, you could also have them read them, and as they're reading it, have a set of questions that they are going to then answer, and then they can tell you, and you have data from that as well, because you want to be able to hand in with this user test memo those data sheets, okay, which it says here in the research. So a little ways down here, you can design a performance test where you observe an observational instrument, or you can do an understandability test where you have like a question or an interview instrument, which you collect data and test their understanding of the set of instructions. So you've got kind of 2 different ways that you can do that depending on your set of instructions, your time constraints. Either one is fine with me, okay? As long as you have this last line right here, your testing must produce some sort of data collection artifact which can be submitted as an appendix along with your user test memo, okay? That's the key part. If it's performance or understandability, one of those that produces with each one of your user tests some sort of minimum of a 1-page results collection data artifact sheet, okay, that you can then either type up on a Word document or whatever and submit with your memo. All right, so the memo itself has a pretty good, I think I provided you with a pretty good solid, like an outline for lack of a better term. Here's an introduction section, okay? Objectives, what are you trying to find out? Performance, understandability. Method, tell us what you did, how you went through the through observing, questionnaire, analysis, things of that nature. And you want to obviously convince me that you have carefully and effectively tested your set of instructions. All right, so the more thorough and detailed your method section, the more persuasive it will be. So be very detailed in that section. Results and discussion. Report the results your test produced. And here I'm looking really for specificity. Now, probably a lot of you are noticing in a lot of my comments, I will say you need more detail, or you maybe need to expand on a particular area, or try to say something more than just be more specific, but I try to tell you specifically what it is, specifically to add. That makes sense. It's very meta there, but anyway. So this will be the results and discussion, as this says here, will be the lengthy, the longest portion, if you will, and detailed section of the memo. And this is where your testers, you should identify your tester had difficulties and what your tester said about the instructions, and that should be gleaned a lot, largely from the artifact that this test provides or results in. And then your conclusion, describe your test results and their consequences. Tell me what you learned overall, and identify identify the specific revisions you will make as a result of what you learned. What are you going to go back and do now, right? And this is, again, not I'm going to go back and make it more clear. All right, that's kind of that's a general, kind of a vague term. I want you to say, I'm going to go back to step 4 and I'm going to add blah, blah, blah. I'm going to reword, yada, yada, yada. Okay, things of that. This will be very specific. What steps? Maybe you're going to change a photo. Which photo? What step? And how does that relate to what you found out with your user test? So your user test, you're getting this data artifact instruments. Okay, user test memo. That's the outline that I just kind of went over, right? 2 to 3 pages. And then you should have an additional 3 pages of raw test data or a data collection instrument for each one of your user tests. Okay? So that is that. So I will answer. Feel free to let me know if you have any further questions about that. I didn't want this video to be this long, but there's kind of a lot of information in there. So I guess the big takeaway from the review of the user test memo is to make sure you have at least 2 to 3 performance or understandability tests. Make sure that each one of those results in some sort of instrument, a 1-page document, right? It could be 1 page of 10 to 15 questions that they answer, or something along those lines as they're reading through, and then along with your notes as you're watching them, or if you're observing them do it. Any notes that you make, they seem to struggle, or they had to ask me for clarification about one of the steps as you go through. Any and all data that happens or that you collect, right, will be appreciated and very beneficial to you, especially when it comes time to making the final revisions for this for WikiHow. Okay, all right. Whew, that was a little more than I expected it to be, but I think that's all good information. But again, if you have any other questions, do let me know. Follow that memo format. Have those collection instruments ready to go for Sunday, and I wish you all a most wonderful week, and let me know if there's more that I can do. Bye.